That's all.
Can I interject? I'm going to use this quick. I just want to show you what 5 acres look like per property. Those are 1 and 2 bedroom houses. Most of those are duplexes for 2 bedroom units. Some of those are 2 bedroom units, and some of those.
We call them trailer parks around here.
They're not trailers, they're
But we call them trailer parks. I lived in them when I worked on the road doing construction work. I worked all over Saturday.
So we're gonna get to the question and answer. I want to make sure we get to everybody's comment. So Ms. Kim, you go right next. And I'll check and see who's after Ms. Kino.
I'm gonna agree with the Mike thing. I came from planning and zoning when they kind of snuck that 212 apartments on from Crow Road. You couldn't hear them. You didn't know what was going on. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, we passed it. Well, one of the key things was I was on the Zoom meeting. I was one of two that was on the Zoom meeting when they had it for the area. I've lived on Crow Road for 38 years. It's a disaster now. And they kept saying, we kept saying that the roads, the traffic. I live a half a mile from the red light on Brown Ridge. It is backed up all the way to the high school every day from 3:30 until 6 o'clock. You can't get out, you can't get in. Who in their right mind ever put a left turn lane on Brown Bridge with no turn light? That's half the problem. But they kept saying, oh, well, Crow Road is under construction. No, they're redirecting the access road. That has nothing to do with Crow Road. And they said, well, they're going to do remodeling and widen. 15 years ago, the Department of Transportation, the road department said they were going to widen Crow Road 15 years ago. When Borderdale passed the quote 620 units on the Oaks, which is now in foreclosure, the first thing was they had to take care of the roads. We can't have any more building until they take care of the roads. And they got to widen the roads if they're going to 4-lane. But personally, I've got 9 acres on Crow Road. House and 9 acres for sale. Because I want to get out of the west side. I want to go to the east side because I like the fact that they have stated, I think y'all are what, 2 acre minimum or something like that over on the east side there. They put a limit on property sizes. With the what?
We don't have sewers.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't want 212 on 17 acres is what they're putting in front of Newton. 17 acres, 212 2-bedroom apartments. That's 400 more cars on Grove Road. They're building, how many houses, how many units is that across your Middle Ridge? That's 400 or 500 units in the apartment building across the Middle Ridge on the bypass. So there's another 1,000 cars that's probably going to come down Grove Road. We can't handle it. It's not possible. It's a nightmare. My husband pulls a bass boat, and if he's coming from Brown Bridge to our house, to turn left into our driveway, the idiots that try to pass him on the left-hand side. We have begged the sheriff's department. We have 3 entrances into our property. Come sit. You'll get your quota within an hour. Speeding. I mean, I've had, and I've realized 38 years, I've had about 10 mailboxes taken out. And they usually end up in my ditch because that's where they're going to go when they hit the mailbox. I had a sheriff's car in the ditch where they tried to turn around and, went off. It's not possible to put any more houses. And we don't need any more apartments. Like you said, the one next to the old Walmart building, that's not full. The one behind B&G, I'm sure is not full. The one they're building on the bypass across the Middle Ridge. How many is that going to be? We've got too many vacant apartments. We don't need any more apartments. If you're counting rooftops, when you count a rooftop for an apartment, what do you count? 1 rooftop?
That's a good question.
Okay, and you've got what? 15, 18 units under a rooftop? That's never going to get us anything. We need to get back to the individual single homes. And, if people don't want a little property, I could live with a house on maybe for 3/4 of an acre. But if you don't want to get out and mow your yard, go live somewhere else. You know, that's all I
I saw individuals that signed in, but they didn't say they wanted to speak. Was there someone else that wanted to speak? Yes, come on up. And if you want to, just follow behind. I don't know if they didn't sign, how many people signed.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First, I'm gonna make some comments. By the way, my name is Roger Stark, and I'm from Newton County. I left for a while, and I came back to Newton County. Because at one time, Newton County was the best cost of living from the other places that I lived in. And I want to say, from being a lone resident of Newton County, I understood some of the stuff that was going on. First of all, I'm going to say this. Now, I know some of you may know it, some of you not know it. I used to sit on the planning committee when I first came back. I was appointed to the planning committee. If any of y'all know Spiller, I was put off the planning committee because they changed the meeting from night to day. I'm just gonna give you a little history and then on this. From West Street to Emory Street, they wanted to put these condos back in. It was in the 90s and stuff. They wanted to do this. Spiller, Hollis, they wanted to take the old Atlanta highway and shut it down. But they didn't have enough green space and they didn't have parking for that. That's right. You know what I'm talking about? That's from Quick Trip back to the Tide Depot, back in that area. They wanted to shut that whole area down, put condos there. That was on the agenda for a long time. And then when they drew it up and they tried to present it, and I pointed out all those things that they didn't have, and they declined it. And they were so hot about it that, you know, I was a working young fella then. They changed me to the daytime, so I couldn't be on the board any longer. Okay? In saying that, also that amusement park, I know many of y'all don't even know nothing about it. This amusement park was put on the thing back in the early 90s. It was put on in the planning committee. When I joined the planning committee at the time when I was appointed to the planning committee, I just didn't sit there. I went back and started reading all the stuff that was supposed to be coming along in the future. I'm not just thinking about here, I'm still thinking about the future down the line. And I learned some stuff along the way. He was talking about the growth and work. A lot of us don't know that these company factories out here in Newton County, they got a contract with this county and this city to hire so many residents here. Okay, they bring residents in, but that's not the residents of Newton County. And they're not meeting the quota of that. And this goes on and on and on. And the perm that they pay is ridiculous. That's why everybody's light bill is so high. We having to pay the difference in the perm. For myself, a solution to that is that if they give so many days to bring the bill current or turn it off. If I would like me to bring our bill to current, what the first thing they're gonna do? Turn it off. My solution is you will see how much money we can collect and we wouldn't be paying all these other high taxes and stuff. If we go after some of these factories that not representing contract. That's one step that we're gonna have to do, is to see what the clause was in that contract for people working in this county. And that's some of the things that we need to do. We need to do. And it, like I say, I know they sit around and think, oh, we'll grant you that. We'll grant you to build a house, these condos over here. When the Crown Road is, when the night the guy was in here speaking about that, he said, oh, we ain't had a flood. And I called him a lie. And it was true. Because it had been 2 years that the road had flooded and water was across that road for, I know, a solid week. That has always been a floodplain and it's still gonna be a floodplain. And when they was also talking, oh, we're not gonna approve this. Let me tell you something. It's a disaster. Every time they say, oh, we're gonna give this to the county. Okay, 6 years down the road, this thing's flooded. Who's gonna make it a walking trail? Who's responsible? The county is responsible. They only putting us in debt. They only putting us in more debt. And you gotta pay attention to these things. You got to listen to when these developers come in here and make these speeches. And you know you live here in this county and you see these things. When it floods, that's one of the number one places that get a lot of flood from. And if they build that walking trail back there and talking about, we gonna turn it over to the county? No, the county don't want it, you gonna be responsible for it. Because that's what it is, a floodplain. Use it as a floodplain. That's the problem, putting all these houses in these floodplains and areas you don't need. And we got to do better. We got to do better for our youth in the county. I have to say this every time, and I'm gonna say it probably to the day I die. My passion is senior citizen and veteran. You know, senior citizen is being treated wrong. Our housing thing need to be based on the senior citizen income. They don't have the money to pay $2,000, $2,500 a month. Tell them to sell the house and move in the high rise. They got to pay. They are losing. Thank you.
Speak, just come on up.